Welcome back to the Midlands Rugby podcast. Phil, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you. Nice to have a week off. Last training session for a week last night, so I'm sure I'll start feeling fresh by that Monday evening.
You had a haircut as well.
I've done it tonight, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, looks all right, mate. That looks
Yeah,
nice.
you?
You can see the fuck off. That was very nice. I was going to make a forehead comment, but you just made a head comment. Uh, talk about men with heads. How you doing, Jonty?
I'm very well. That's an excellent segue.
He's got a head. It's
Yeah,
smooth.
yeah, yeah. You're
They,
not
they,
wrong.
yeah. In
Yeah,
fact, I am
it's
completely
factually
right.
correct that I have a
Factually
head.
correct. For those who don't know John T, congratulations. He is a is a player coach, mainly taking a bit more of a coaching role so far this season at Paviors RFC. Um, Johns, we know we've not given you loads of time to prep to join us this week because you really are a backup. But
I mean, yeah,
how did
30 minutes.
30 minutes? How did you get into rugby?
Um, my dad wanted me to play pretty much every sport going when I was younger, just to get the wider benefits of sport. So I played football, cricket, rugby, golf, tennis, and then it was just a case of finding which sport stuck. So yeah, from the age of like 5, I was playing at Pavs. I think I was in Doug Billam's that mixed group at the start, but within my age group we had Bobby Ratcliffe, Will Crossley. I think I'm the only one left of my age group that still plays. But yeah, so and then by the time I was 10 or 11, it got to a stage of only being able to do one or two of the sports, and rugby was the one I stuck with.
What was it? What was the second sport?
Cricket, but
Shocking, really,
I
considering
was
I've seen
pretty
you play
poor.
cricket. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that didn't last much longer.
Says a lot about the other sports you were playing. If cricket was second.
Well, we played football for Loudon Colts. I was actually the age group above Alex Lewington, who was obviously a friend of the pod.
Indeed.
Who was the age group below me, but he was playing Notts County Academy and Loudon Colts. He was quite good at that age, but my age group was horrendous. Like we would lose most games by at least 6 or 7 goals.
Impressive.
But Loudon Colts were pretty poor back then, and I wasn't a natural footballer.
No, I was going to ask that question.
Yeah. I compare myself to someone like Jermaine Genus, who can just run around loads, is capable of absolute brilliance, but also capable of absolute mediocrity.
That's
Oh
how I
wow.
describe your rugby career as well, to be
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah. That's
Well,
fair.
you claim to have been a natural football player, don't you, Phil? A natural goalkeeper.
His
I'm
head's
not a bad,
big enough.
I'm not really. I'm not bad enough a bad football player. I played until I was about 15, I think. Playing goal probably was my best position because I was 6'4" at 14, so that was quite useful. But I just found it a bit boring. And the team I played in as well when I was a goalkeeper, we won the league and cup double. I think we only lost one game all season, and I think we only conceded like 15 goals in a season. So my job was quite easy. To be honest.
Yeah, I think one of the issues for me and I know my dad had this opinion, was that there just wasn't really much of a collective club feel about football. Like you turn up on some local council organised or council run pitch, you have to sweep the pitch for sticks, dog shit, and everything beforehand. There's nowhere to get changed. There's nowhere to go and eat afterwards, and it just wasn't the best environment. Whereas when you went to rugby clubs, it was always private grounds with a clubhouse with facilities, and you just felt like it was a better sport to be involved in. And I think my dad pushed it a lot, but I think rugby naturally was the one.
But rugby clubs are good at the getting people through age groups, or most rugby clubs are, if they've got the facilities, because quite often it's not just a training session, and it's not just for the kids in that age group. There's obviously coffees, beers, and stuff for parents, food for the kids. Seems to be a whole morning activity as opposed to just hour. Get your boots, you're going home, showering, and then whatever.
Yeah, 100%. Like it feels like there's such a big community responsibility of a rugby club. Like most of the clubs that I've been to, whether that's in Nottingham or even when we've been on our ventures up north and around the Midlands, you've seen that there's been proper community feel and those sort of vibes within the club, and you feel like they have a role. Whereas I've never felt that with football, unless it's at that almost semi-pro level where people are paying to come and watch, and there's that level of community. But from a grassroots level, like I live in Woodthorpe, I see on Saturday some football game going on a pitch that's where one part of the pitch is about 5 meters elevated versus the other part of it, and it's just like, what is this?
I've played on rugby pitches like that.
Bedford rugby clubs like that, and they're playing the championship, mate. So,
well, yeah, but you get what I mean. Like they're just turning up on a country park, and sometimes there's gypsies that have rocked up in Woodthorpe Park. Sometimes there's a circus. And then there's football. And it's like it just seems like really, really like random as to where the football clubs are.
I know what you mean. That was a massive thing for me. So because I didn't start playing till I was 14, playing rugby, that is, I never really had that. You're right, that there isn't really the after-match camaraderie that you have.
No.
I was lucky that I played football for Westford Colts, and we did have a little clubhouse. Well, they used to, before it probably burnt down or whatever. But we didn't really use it. It wasn't really used. You know, to be fair, on a Sunday morning when I was playing football, my dad was probably hungover from Saturday night, so the last thing he ever wanted was another beer. But or was a loud one anyway. And then
probably the exact thing he wanted.
Well, yeah. But yeah, when I came and played rugby, I remember my first game at Pavs, and kind of like finished the game and was like, right, come on then, Dad, let's go home. And he was like, I'm not going home.
No.
We're going upstairs now. We're going to do the after match stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, it was a massive shock to the system, but it's a massive part of the sport, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how you see, because obviously you've been, for those who don't know, you're involved, so are quite involved with the academy at Pavs, and you've seen your brother come through age group and also your sister. What do you think that's still there, that kind of expectation? You go upstairs and you spend the morning there, or do you think the culture's changing a little bit?
No, I don't think it's changing. Look at Pavs on a Sunday. I mean, you've got enough first teamers now with their kids doing little ruggers, and I mean, I think George is always there with little ruggers for his two, and he's there on the sauce from 11.
He sinks a fair few on a Sunday.
Yeah. But there is that general feel good and community level aspect where on a Sunday it is just full of kids. It's full of kids going upstairs afterwards, having the sausage sandwiches. Mums and dads are having the coffees whilst watching, and you just don't get that in many other winter sports.
No. And it's amazing because actually, if you look at rugby clubs, and maybe we are different because we've got quite a large mini and junior section, but a majority of paying members will be not your Saturday attendees, it's your Sunday attendees.
Yeah.
Just naturally. So really are a key part.
They are, and it's very hard to bridge that gap. We do quite a lot to try and get sort of Sunday people, as it were, involved on a Saturday and vice versa. So that's a key part of it. We're quite lucky that, like you say, Jonty, there's a lot of first team lads that are up on a Sunday now because their kids are going, or you know, the brothers are playing, or whatever, or nieces and nephews. So that helps Paviors massively, and I think other clubs in a similar vein will be looking at stuff like that. But the other way around, in terms of getting people up on a Saturday, and I appreciate that not everyone wants to spend both days of the week in the rugby club, but every now and again, getting sort of one team up on a Saturday to, you know, give us a parade through what those things called, Guard of Honor, and then
oh yeah,
and getting them up on the balcony and getting them used to watching the first team and show them sort of where they can get to. That I think is a real key thing that we're trying to push this year. I know the girls team were up last Saturday when we played Lichfield, and I think there was about 10 or 15 of them went for the lunch beforehand and then came and watched the game. So that's brilliant. Some ways to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the biggest strength of our club, and I know there's loads of other clubs in the area that have similar strengths. And without throwing shade against some of the teams we've played against, you can really tell which clubs aren't that sort of historic community-based club with those sort of values. We've been to enough over Midlands up the north and around to see what's a proper club. And like when I saw the Lichfield guys come up at the weekend, I was like, yeah, this is a proper club.
Yeah.
Just talking to their coaches and their retention of players from level 5 to level 6 and what they've been doing at the minis and juniors, it's like, yeah, that's a proper club as well. So again, I think most good clubs have that. And you've seen over the years with certain clubs where money comes in, money goes.
Yeah, they go up, they go down.
They go down.
Yeah.
Whereas we stay pretty solid.
Yeah.
Like how many players did we lose from our relegation? Maybe 3 to retiring.
Well, the soft lads retired, didn't they? But other than that,
that wasn't to money elsewhere. Well,
nobody has left the club to play elsewhere or play at level 5.
No.
Well, the only one was Tom Davies, but that's because he's in uni down there, and the fact that he travelled from Bristol to Billingham or Cleckheaton most weekends was ridiculous.
Yeah, definitely. I guess one of the things that you are involved in. Oh, sorry, Thomas. One of the things you're involved with heavily at the club, Jonty, and have been for a couple of years, is the academy or the Colt.
Yes.
Now, we don't need you to give chapter and verse about it, and I know that one of the reasons you're involved is because of your brother. But how has that setup sort of changed in the last few years, and how has academy or Colts Rugby changed overall, so across the Midlands or whatever, in the last few years?
Participation's been the biggest issue. I really have a lot of sympathy for these lads that are coming through, because I feel like they are part of that COVID brigade that have just they've just had their game ripped apart for just something that's not their fault. So retention of players has been hugely problematic. Like the age group above Danny's, so that's like the current under 20s, decimated. Like they were all 17 or so when COVID hit, and that's already a tough stage of growing up when social stuff, school stuff, and work comes into it. So to have your whole world just pause for 18 months and you get the game that you play stop, by the time you're back, you're at university or you're somewhere else, and you've lost.
Got to go straight to seniors. I guess that was a massive leap for some of the lads who never done anything like that. And
so there's
choices as seconds or thirds.
Yeah, so there's loads of lads that you just seen a huge dropout at that level, and now we've kind of recovered from it, but we're still at that stage where 16 and 17-year-olds are starting to discover other things that aren't necessarily meaning that rugby is priority anymore. Like we've got loads of lads that we try and play our academy fixtures on a Friday because of school rugby on Saturdays or work shifts or whatever, and it's been a real problem this season. Just trying to get fixtures out. Like we've got 30 odd registered players, but from school and other commitments, we're lucky to get 15.
Yeah, I think in January we'll find the other opposite that won't be. We'll have.
Oh yeah. We'll have come January. Come January, we'll be in a great position. But it's not just us. Like Ashfield have struggled, Southwell have struggled, Corsairs are putting teams up. Newark are doing all right, but I think 6 teams from the Academy League have withdrawn this year. So participation's a real problem. But the lads that we've got, they're committed. They're turning up to training a lot. We can see the progression that they're having. we're trying to get them to play twos as much as possible. Obviously, we've got Panda and Bimbag playing for the twos at the weekend. So we're trying as much as we can to keep as many of the lads engaged as possible. But it's tough. It's tough.
And
last year was actually a really good year for us because we had my age group that I'd coached up, and we'd managed to retain a lot of them. And then we had a really strong age group below them as well. So we had a good 40 players in that squad. I remember we had a cup game where 32 lads had declared themselves available. So and that's great. But yeah, it's not quite been repeated this year because of various other reasons.
Yeah,
when you talk about participation, I've nosed myself out a little bit here and got some stats and out of a select number of 86,000 children between the ages of 5 and 16 in 2018, 9.7% of the 86,000 were playing rugby union. By the end of 21, 5.7. So we lost just shy of half of participants over 2 years.
Yeah,
which is very worrying, and is, to me, is quite obvious. In that bracket we just talked about there, so you've got sort of Danny's age group, which are under 19s at the moment. You've got the age group of them who are under 20s, and the age group below them, which are currently under 18s.
Yeah,
we've lost a lot of players.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look, at next year's under 16, this year's under 16s, this year's under 15s, and then this year's under 14s, they've got loads of players.
Yeah, great. But those are the 11 or 12-year-olds when COVID hit. So it's been a lot easier for them to get back on the bandwagon and start playing again.
So, but hopefully that's the same case for every club.
Yeah, I think it is.
We're just in a blip where COVID's caused a few issues, and it's not been an easy time for anyone with the current climate as well around Brexit and so hopefully that will pick up again. But throw some naughty stats in there because we've got the king.
I can't remember the exact stats, so I'm not going to make it up, but I saw some similar massive drop off at senior participation as well. Again, the playing stats were, I think there was maybe 30% that withdrawn from the game. I can't remember the headline numbers, but it was huge numbers leaving the seniors game. From pre-COVID to post-COVID.
It is similar, and it's kind of similar around that 60. I think probably everyone's 60 and above while COVID hit is probably in the same thing of if you're lucky enough to be able to go and have disposable income to go and do other things on a Saturday when the world opened, but rugby still took 6-7 months to do so. Then what are you drinking, Johns?
Well, I was having a bourbon because last time we did a podcast, I think it was still reviewed as the drunkest podcast you'd ever done. I'm not trying to repeat those levels, but
no, we did have a lot of port and cheese.
Sorry,
it's if you're in the position where you've got disposable income and you can go and do other stuff when the world opened up and we weren't playing games, you weren't fancying playing touch rugby, you were going away on your own with your family or your mates. And that's not just something you then cut off. I imagine for you two with children, if you were around for 18 months and then suddenly not, it's probably not going to go down as well. I mean, Phil, you will run as quickly as possible away from yours, but it's not something. And then also, if you're a little bit older, your body kind of gets used to playing rugby. But then if you stop again, your body's absolutely fast.
Yeah. I was talking to a bloke from work about this. He played rugby but quit maybe a year or so before COVID. He's been thinking about joining up again, but he's just worried that his body's just not going to be able to hack it. But for 4 years of not playing,
it's a long time.
It's a long time.
Which
is why it's going to be hilarious when I eventually get back on a field to actually try and put something positive forward.
Rumor has it that you
I'm now 18 months.
18 months. Well, rumor has it 18 months. You put yourself on a scrum half on Saturday when scrum half was having an unbelievable game.
Yeah, I ain't fucking put myself at fullback.
Yeah. The game was not quite won by that point, no.
Well, it was, but I'm still again like Phil and I. We picked the team, so suck it.
There was a for those who don't know what kick out is, it's a training game, but there were some nice races between you two yesterday. It was quite amusing to watch both of you run through treacle and to see who treacle was slightly thinner than the others.
Well, the
and that
worst
is
thing
coming
is,
from me, and I appreciate that's coming from me.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was going to stay away from your performance in that particular game, but the problem I've got actually, it's been 18 months really since I've been properly playing because of this knee injury, and before that, I think I was at about 83 kilos, and I'm now 91, 92. So I'm carrying so much extra weight. So that treacle that I'm running through, I am trying my hardest to sprint.
Yeah.
And I've just got nothing.
You're not running through it, you're fucking eating it.
Yeah.
Right. So Tom, I've got my little thing for Jonty is for those who don't know, Jonty is renowned as a real rugby nause, and a real rugby nause. So I'm not sure how old this quiz is. Oh, it's from 2017, so these laws are going to be out of date, Jonty, but I want you to tell me what the law is in this certain scenario.
Okay. This can be great for listeners.
I was going to say, let's pull something from 6 years ago. Go and Phil.
Yeah.
Well, it's better than the laws now.
Because it's fair, this will be really good for your dad, because on the sidelines, we're still having to explain which year this law changed.
Yeah, well, it is pretty bad. So, question 1. The attacking scrum half has taken too long to put the ball into the scrum. What happens next? Defending scrum is awarded, free kick to the defending team, or penalty to the defending team?
Before you read them out, I was thinking free kick to the defending team.
Oh, look. Correct.
Oh, good.
Nice job, T. Question 2. Okay. What are you laughing at, Tom?
No, Tom's not laughing. He's making notes because he doesn't know what the laws are.
I don't need to. I don't care about scrum off at the ball. They just put it in, let me touch.
A player from the defending team tackles the opposition attacker and holds on to him next to the ruck. What do you do next? Award a scrum to the attacking team, award a penalty to the attacking team, or let play continue? That's an obtuse question.
Oh, that's not an objective situation within a game. It's a highly subjective position from a referee there.
Yeah. I mean, I think what it's saying there is
he causing an offence? Is he rolling on the wrong side?
He's holding on to him in the ruck. The tackler is still holding on to the attacker.
I mean, technically, I imagine it's a penalty to the attacking team.
I would think so. It is.
Is this round 1, by the way? Or
yeah, round 1.
Round 1.
Right, John T. A thrown at a line out hasn't been thrown straight. How do you signify this? You can show us. Yes, that is correct. I'll give you that one. Yeah, good. Right, one more. A player dramatically
for those only listening on Spotify, Jonty put his hands up and moved it to the side because it's
like air traffic signal.
Yes, it's not a visual.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. A player dramatically dives over the line to score a try, but his foot hits the corner flag. The first time he touches the ground is in goal. What happens next? Award the line out to the defending team, let the try stand, or award the defensive 5-metre scrum. Now, I'm not
right. I think this is the nausey bit, because I know the law used to be that the corner flag was out.
Yeah.
But now the corner flag.
That would be what?
It'll be a line out.
Correct.
Whereas now, I think the corner flag is not considered part of the line. So if you touch it, it's fine. Yeah. As long as no other part of your body is out of field.
Correct. When did that change?
I'm going to go with it's a line out.
You're going with the line out. We're talking 2017. No, it wasn't. That didn't change. It was a try.
Oh, that's
I
good.
just thought it was a nice little detail for us because
Someone let Mark Cueto know.
Yeah,
well, that was a few
probably
years
changed.
before that.
Say that might have been the catalyst of change. To be fair, it was ridiculous decisions. Johns, moving on to senior rugby. I know we started talking about participation, but you've been, like you said, on the sideline for 18 months. So you've seen what level 5, regional 1, north east was like last year, but regional 2, Midlands North. Still quite a tight league as it stands. What do you think of it so far?
I'm loving it. It's just from the fact that I think we've got 4 Nottinghamshire teams, well, plus ourselves in the league, I think, don't we? So going from what we had last year to 8 Nottinghamshire derbies over the course of a season is firstly great. It reminds me of when I first started playing first team, and we had strong Mansfield, strong Paviors, strong Matlock, Ilkeston, and it almost felt that every game or every other game was massive. And it was a fight. It was a derby. It was no team walked that league because every game was such a tough match. But that was great. And it feels like there's some form of throwback to that. But yeah, it's great to play away at Newark. It's great to have Bridgeford around, Long Eaton around, and to see the strength of Nottinghamshire and obviously wider of NLD rugby getting a little bit better, because there has been a huge drop off when those teams had their end of cycles and had a couple of relegations. And us and Bridgeford have kind of been the only Nottinghamshire teams for a while. I mean, even Derby went down for a bit and they've come back up. But yeah, it's a good league for us. It's a bit of a weird one because it seems to be it's Nottingham versus Birmingham as a league.
Yeah.
And then throw in Matlock. But I think it's a much better league for us. And hopefully it kind of stabilises our position that we are not in the north of England. So if there is a promotion to happen again, that we don't go into a North League. Which would be great if that happens. But I think this league is good. I think it's good competitive fixtures. I know we've just won 5 bonus point wins on the bounce, but if you look at a lot of those games, 4 of them I think are wins by less than 10 points. One of them against Matlock was a last play of the game. The one against Melbourne, we had 13 men for the last 5 minutes of the game and just held out. So they've all been really, really close and good quality games. And I think that shows with the league that you've got a lot of teams that are now played 9 or 10 games, won 6, lost 4. There's a big middle sector of that table. So it shows it's obviously competitive.
And if you look at the table, even with Sutton Coldfield slightly different, but Mellish in 10th and Wolverhampton in 12th, they've both got 5 losing bonus points still.
Oh yeah. Mellish in particular, they've been fighting really well in their games. Like really scrapping around. I've seen a good amount of bonus points for them. The Wolverhampton game where we had them at Burnt Stump, that was the possibly worst I've ever felt for an opponent losing a game.
52-48.
52 losing 52-48, but they were I think 15 points clear with 20 minutes to go. And they played really well that day. We weren't good for a good 40-50 minutes of it. And we were just lucky that we managed to get a real purple patch towards the end of the game to get the win. But yeah, so those 2 teams bottom of the table both put up really good performances against us.
What do you think of these Birmingham teams? Are they as expected? What they like as lads? Have you enjoyed every game you've been a part of as a coach and as well as 20 minutes?
Yeah. We've not come across any bad teams really. Like we've had good chats with the coaches before and after. No real negativity from any of them. There's been a few grumbles from the amount of travel they've had to do, and then we've thrown an Anik away in their face, and then they're like, "Oh, fair play." but no, it's. I think they're broadly okay with the league as well, because again, they've got 5 or 6 Birmingham derbies, and there's loads of Nottingham derbies. So it's just one of those bizarre geographical leagues where it's just Birmingham and Nottingham. But it's a good league for us. I think we're finding our feet in it. And yeah, the last 5 games in particular, we've definitely hit our stride.
We have as a club nearly played a majority, played more than a majority of that league, all the potential opponents. For who we've seen so far, who do you think are going to be the teams which can go the full season, putting in performances week in, week out? If you had to pick,
I think it's the current top 3. So us, Long Eaton, and Lichfield.
I like Walsall as well.
Yeah, I mean, Walsall. That game was one of the weirdest ones. So my heart rate apparently was at 170 for a 45-minute period whilst I was stood watching, which is insane. But they seem to travel weirdly. So I don't know. I don't think Walsall will be right up at the top. Like they beat Newark the other day away from home, but then they've also travelled and not seemed to have pulled a result out of the bag. So whereas Lichfield and Long Eaton seem to be racking the wins up home and away. I think they're both just lost 1 game.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. So I think those two are just showing that greater consistency. They might be able to put a run together, and their 4G pitch is a leveler. Sorry, no, it's not a leveler actually. It's a big home advantage for them. So I think their home record is going to be really strong. But yeah, I just think maybe they might not be able to travel as well, because it's a lot for them to be traveling over our way regularly.
And do you think with the 4G pitch, when it gets to these, and it could be completely too simplified, but when it gets to these swampier months, do you think that then plays a part because they're so used to playing on quite a nice consistent track to then to a
absolutely,
where it's a swamp and then really struggle because it affects their game?
Yeah, and I was trying to explain Matlock to Dingo before that game and said it's not like a pitch you will ever play on. There is no other pitch that you will play on that's comparable to Matlock.
No. Which for an Aussie, never going to say.
Oh yeah. So no, I think that has to have an impact, but the positive side is that their home record will be very good. The swings and roundabouts of it is that it might be more difficult for them away. Yeah,
but it looks like an exciting league.
But they beat Newark 41-25 the other day, and their ground was underwater 2 weeks ago. So
Newark's was There's a few. This was going to be a break week, wasn't there? But there's a few games going on this week around the Midlands because of the bursting of riverbanks and so on.
Derby playing.
They got a pitch again. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the 4th time in 3 years that it's flooded.
I don't want to piss off anyone from Derby because it's not their fault because they are
it's not
players and they didn't make the decisions. But you've got to at some point go, is it really worth keeping?
I think go back even further. Who signed off on that?
Yeah, when you know your pitch floods anyway, it's not like someone's gone, oh fucking hell, there's a river. Like,
oh my, the Derwents never flooded. Who at the RFU has signed off on that pitch?
Yeah, but don't get me started.
Yeah,
it's lovely, and I've never played on it. I've just walked on it, but yeah, it just seems like a lost investment. But you wouldn't keep fixing a shit car, would you? Phil, you got any more questions for Jonty?
No, I don't think I have. I tend to talk to him quite often, so conversation tends to run dry between us.
Yeah. Now we've got a WhatsApp group. It's even more boring after a while. Jonty, you probably have something noisy you want to talk about.
If there was one thing that I would have a real moan about, it's we've just had a World Cup.
Oh, go on. I love the start of this already.
But World Rugby decide that we don't want you to watch it. So you can watch it on the free to air, that's fine. But if you want to then share any footage of it, talk about it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. No, we don't allow that.
That's a very, very good point.
Now,
talking about sharing the content.
Sharing content. Now,
Yeah.
we're on about a global game that's had a huge participation issue that we've already discussed. We've seen how TikTok has been amazing for the women's game, and how that's brought participation in the women's game up massively. You've seen the impact that TikTok has had on the Six Nations in terms of social media engagement and everything like that. But World Rugby and their big ass showpiece event where the whole world is supposed to be watching, no, we're not going to allow you to share anything. So Wayne Barnes posts something on his Twitter, and he gets told, "No, you can't share that." And it's a clip. It's a clip of a Romanian bloke saying, "Thank you for sin binning me."
Yeah.
No, we can't share that. It's copyright infringement. And then you've got people like Squid Rugby who have an amazing following on YouTube. The last video he did, I think, of the 2019 World Cup final got well over 1 million views on his channel and subscriptions. And his post of the 2023 World Cup final gets taken down within a week.
Yeah. It's
like,
madness.
Are we trying to just not get people involved in our game or not be interested in the game? I don't understand.
I've got a few opinions on it. I think there's a hesitation for it to grow, because then that means change, and people at the top of both, if you're in the World Rugby, don't particularly like change. I also think there's a small group of tier 1 nations, and I won't say who I think there is.
Well, there's all of them.
All of them with the
probably
growth
apart from Argentina with what Augustin Pichot's doing. Like he's been championing tier 2 nations for ages.
Yeah, it's a fear of, if it grows, then shit, we've got to pay attention. It's like, I was listening to a different pod earlier today. It was quite interesting and talking about it's only a small percent of Americans are interested in rugby at all, right? But it accounted for 16 million people.
Yeah.
And they're not getting any support financially from World Rugby. Neither are Canada.
Well, as in the US. To be honest, why do we have to have this obsession with the US?
They've got professional league.
Yeah, but they've got other sports that we are not going to get anywhere near in terms of participation and involvement in.
They still got more rugby fans than any other nation on the world.
Why not spend that effort focusing on Fiji, Tonga, Samoa, Portugal?
Oh yes, I'm not saying don't. I'm saying, if, for me, the Americans love spending money on shit they don't need, i.e. merchandise, and they will spend and spend and spend, and it's a huge hole that World Rugby will then face, which then the first thing they'll cut is support to the other tier 2 nations. You need to invest in the markets like America, because they are stupid with their money in the sense of they will buy support.
But America is so big that how do you break America? Like, you can't. It's so big that you.
Small percentage is paid 16 million people.
Yeah. If James Corden can break America, mate, fucking.
Yeah, but they hate him now as well.
They can keep it.
They're looking for the receipt that they had from when they brought him over. But like the only way I think it can work in America is if they focus on like Texas and just say, right, we're going to grow rugby in Texas first. We're going to focus on one state. We're going to try and grow the game as much as we can there, or any state that's not got an amazing like American football team or baseball or one of the other big 3 sports. If there's a state that's not that massive, let's try there.
I think there's definitely a participation market there, because you look at the high number of dropout from college football. You go, fuck me, that's a lot of people there. They won't all want to play, and they'd be one of the best rugby nations in the world.
Yeah,
but you've got to target it for the sake of world rugby as a little W. You've got to have a go at it, don't you think?
Yeah, but at the same time, there's a bloke that used to play for Paviors, Matt Frings. decent rugby player. He came up through our academy system. He was a good lad. I think he played Preston Grasshoppers for a few years. And what level are they? They're level 5 now, aren't they?
Yeah,
Or
they
level-
were level 3 or 4 then, though. To
Yeah,
be
yeah.
fair.
But either way, so he was playing at that level. So that's British level 4, and he's
Level four.
playing MLR rugby starting. It's like there's a huge gap in what they're currently producing and how they're recruiting their players and the actual number of people that are watching it. And I think when you've got teams like Portugal who have really worked hard on the 7 circuit and brought that into the 15s game and had the World Cup they've just had, for the World Rugby to then announce, oh, we've got this new global tournament, brilliant. You might be playing teams by 2028.
Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah, that's bad.
What's the point? What's the point? What we here for the tier 2 nations? Like, just focus on America because they've got the biggest revenue. But we've got teams that are here now that are ready to do something, and then World Rugby won't promote it, and they won't let you share content of the biggest showpiece event. So after that Fiji Portugal game, I think was the best game in the World Cup.
Yeah,
one of the best games in the World Cup to have watched. And the only way you could have watched it was by going onto ITVX's platform to find all the streaming of it. You wouldn't be able to find it anywhere else. YouTube, anything else, you wouldn't know.
no, I get that. I don't think I was saying that we should ignore the Portugals and teams like that. It's if you look down at it, if you take it back and look at it from an actual business point of view, their business plan is wrong. You can't advertise. You're not hitting target markets, whether that's America or Portugal or Fiji, or you're not hitting the markets correctly, and therefore you're not getting participation, and then they're shocked by what's going on. Yeah.
It's a bizarre world we live in, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's quite educational chat. Sometimes we can be quite good. It's not always about like.
I think is this the highest? Yeah, is this the highest amount of rugby chat you've had on the pod in the last few years?
Yeah, with most nosy, but you know.
Yeah, but we knew we could bank
you get
on
your
you
price.
Yeah, we were beggars today, so we could not choose.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, but thanks very much, Jonty. Appreciate you bringing your own topics as well. It was like a show and tell. It was quite nice.
No, it's quite nice to just have zero prep as well. No questions raised beforehand and just go into this and freewheel it.
I must have told you about 6 o'clock.
Yeah, like the pros that you two are.
To be fair, mate, the ones we prepped have been hugely long, and quite often they include difficult questions which Phil or I trip over all the time.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so it's just better if we don't think about it. Did Fish ever forgive you, Phil? I don't know, but there we go.
He's texted me a few times since, so he must have.
Is he still asking you to work out how to say, "Are you gay?" or talk about being gay in rugby?
Yeah. He's put that in.
Great turn of phrase. But first on that, I don't think I even need to ask for your wise words. I think they are your wise words. Again, thank you very much, Jonty. Bye.
Bye.